If you're feeling lonely and disconnected after having a spiritual awakening, then this video is for you. So the lonely period after a spiritual awakening is referred to as the hermit phase. And there's another term that people call it as well, which I really like. It's a good analogy, which is the cocoon phase. So it's like the idea of the caterpillar that goes into that cocoon, and during that time in the cocoon, they're having a transition period, and then they transform into something else, being the big, beautiful butterfly. And I think that's a really great analogy for the hermit phase. So what the hermit phase is it's that period during your spiritual awakening where you end up spending a lot of time on your own. You may take a step back and disconnect from society, from your friends and your family, from, your own hobbies and interests that once excited you. Some people even decide to quit their job and be unemployed for a bit during this time. And I've learned that this time is actually really important. So I went through the hermit phase myself for about 3 to 4 years. I had my spiritual awakening in 2019, and I was actually lucky compared to most people because I was out of work due to breaking my back, and I had to have a spinal fusion surgery. So that got me out of a job, and that happened before my spiritual awakening. Once I had that spiritual awakening, and then I was going through that hermit phase of just taking that step back and disconnecting, I didn't have to worry about juggling a job. I was already at home on disability anyway. So I was able to have all this free time to just indulge myself in learning about spirituality, watching YouTube videos, watching documentaries, reading books. And during that time, I did feel very lonely and disconnected, and at times it was frustrating. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I feel like now I'm sort of coming out of the hermit phase, the cocoon phase, and I wanted to reassure other people if they're feeling lonely that they don't have to stay in the hermit phase. You don't expect yourself to be lonely and disconnected from everyone forever. So during the hermit phase, and I like it being called the cocoon phase, is actually really important. It's a really important stage of spirituality because when you are in solitude, when you are by yourself, and you're not being distracted by other people or the outer environment, when you have that alone time, that time is when you make the most spiritual growth, which is why I like the cocoon analogy, because it's like you have that time to work on yourself, to transform yourself into a better version of yourself, like the big, beautiful butterfly. So during that alone time, for me, I spent a lot of time on doing my own inner work and shadow work, because having a spiritual awakening, you realize that you're creating your own reality. You're creating all your experiences, and it's your energy field and your state of consciousness that's creating that. And you realize that, we all have unhealed wounds and trauma that is in our energy field, in our body, in our nervous system, that's contributing to creating the reality we are in. So during that hermit phase for myself, it was the time I spent on doing the inner work, the shadow work, finding out what wounds I have, what needs healing, so I could basically clear the rubbish out of my energy field so that I can create a better reality for myself. So embrace that alone time. Put the focus on you, and focus on healing your own wounds and cleaning up your own energy field. That's why that's one of the reasons for why I think the hermit phase, the lonely time, is actually really important. So embrace it. Don't allow it to make you feel like depressed, because sometimes it can be a little depressing. You're awake and aware. Well, a lot of all the people around you are still asleep, and you just can't connect the same. It can be a bit depressing. So I want to encourage you to, instead of allowing it to make you feel depressed, just embrace it. Embrace the alone time. Now, the second reason that this is really important to have that alone time, to be in solitude, is because The only way that you will make spiritual connections to, the higher powers, to the universe, to your higher self, the only way you make those spiritual connections is by being alone, in solitude, in that silence, and in that stillness. You make those connections by pretty much meditation. Meditation's the key. So if you haven't already started up a meditation practice, I highly recommend to start up a daily meditation practice, because what meditation gets you to do is it gets you to disconnect from the outer environment. And there is a lot of things in the outer environment that distracts us. It could be people, alcohol, drugs, scrolling on social media, movies, watching sport. Like there's heaps of things distracting us. As long as you're being distracted in that outer environment, you will not be able to make those spiritual connections that you need to make. So during that time, when you start meditating and you start disconnecting from the outer environment, the focus shifts to your inner environment, to your inner world. And it's when you go into that inner world, that is when you make the connections to this higher power. That is when you make the connections to your higher self. That is how you strengthen your intuition. So we all have this inner guidance system that has all the answers to everything. Just most people are spiritually suppressed and disconnected, and they're not tuned in with it, because most people, they haven't had the awakenings and they're just distracted in the outer environment. So when you spend that time on your own and you go within and you start making these spiritual connections, it's a really amazing thing, because one, you feel very connected to something outside of yourself and to some sort of higher power, but also you will strengthen the connection with the higher self and your intuition, which is what guides you in life on your life's journey. You could, you may have a desire to pursue something. You may want to build your own successful business, for example. The best way to successfully build that is by learning to tune in to your intuition, because your intuition and your higher self and the universe and spirit is always communicating to you and trying to guide you the right way. So when you learn to tune into that inner guidance system that has all the answers, you can get guidance for wherever you want to go in life. Like you could go to people outside of you. You could ask people what do I do about this situation, and get advice from your friends. But you don't actually need to, because like I said, all the answers lie within you. You can literally just meditate on the problem you're having, or a question like, what do I do about this? You can literally communicate that to your higher self, ask your higher self for that guidance, go within into the inner world, and those intuitive messages will start popping up, and that will guide you and basically give you the information that you need to know in order to get to where you want to go. So that's why I say embrace solitude, embrace the alone time, because it's really important. It's really important to make these spiritual connections for yourself. And like I say, most people are disconnected from this. They're spiritually suppressed. They don't even understand they have this inner guidance system. And this is something that you practice at it. Like meditation is a practice. So the more you do it, the better you will get. So focus on just healing yourself and cleaning up the energy field, and focus on making connections to the higher power, to your higher self, and strengthening your intuition. You will receive, once you get more tuned in, if you aren't already, you will receive so much guidance. Like I receive guidance every day, because I know how to listen. I know how to tune in, because it's something I've practiced at over the years. So embrace that solitude, alone time. Now, I also wanted another sort of, tip to give you that I started doing, because like I say, it sometimes is a little bit depressing where you can't connect to people the same anymore. So what I started doing is I started just jumping on these online spiritual courses that basically help you to do the spiritual work to heal yourself. So you could go looking online for these spiritual courses, and they're not long courses. Like I was just doing like a 1 week course or a 3 week course that are really affordable, like less than $100 US. And I even did like a 4-day spiritual event that was like 6 to 9 hour days. So I just jump on these little things online here and there. And by doing that, you know, you're doing this coursework that's going to help you to like work on yourself and to heal yourself and get that spiritual growth. But the people that run the courses, they develop these group pages, whether it's on Facebook or in other apps, so that everyone who's doing the course can all go somewhere together and talk amongst yourselves. So this is how you can start connecting, even if it's just online. You can start connecting with like-minded people that are on that spiritual journey and that are doing the work. So that's what I started doing, and it made me feel a lot better when I was able to connect with people online. But I did want to find people in my physical reality. I was like, I still need people physically around me that I can connect to about this spirituality stuff, you know, someone that you can talk to about it. But that's what I just started doing. So you may want to do that for yourself. Just look out for, you know, these little spiritual courses that are online and just start getting connected with like-minded people. And I sort of found myself starting to come out of this hermit phase and starting to make connections with like-minded people in my physical reality by putting myself out there online. Like I started up my YouTube, my TikTok, my Instagram, and my Facebook, and just started basically creating content where I'm just speaking my truth. I'm just sharing the spiritual ideas and knowledge and concepts that I'm learning and just putting it into, you know, videos and putting it out there. And by doing that, by putting my authentic self out there, speaking my truth, I've started making even more connections with people online as well as people in my physical reality. So now I don't feel so lonely and disconnected anymore. So I wanted to put that out there as well. Like, some people are a little bit scared of putting themselves out there on social media, and I understand that. There are a lot of negative people out there as well. I get negative comments on my videos as well, and they're just people that aren't spiritually awake, so they don't understand what you're even talking about. So I just wanted to sort of encourage you not to be shy, to put yourself out there, being your authentic self and speaking your truth. Because that is how you find like-minded people. That's how you start finding your tribe, by being your authentic self. When you hide your authentic self because you're afraid of what people may think or being judged, what happens is you end up attracting in the wrong people that don't actually align with the authentic you. And you actually want to, like, when you show up as your authentic self, that is when you repel the wrong people and you attract in the right ones. Not everyone's going to like you, and that's okay. Not everyone's going to like me. But as long as we're showing up as our authentic selves and we're speaking our truth, that is how you will find your people and you'll make those connections. So I just want to encourage you to don't be shy putting yourself out there. That's how I started making these connections in my life. So I hope you like this video, guys. I hope you got some sort of value out of it. That's my aim with all of my videos, is just to provide value for you guys. And I hope you have an awesome day. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and write a comment. If you like this sort of content, then make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notification. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.